Good morning, wherever you are in the art world. So tonight we have really a great honor to have the founder of AllArt, Alexander Führer and Vito How are you?
Hi.
And thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having us, Carolina. It's a pleasure. We've seen so many of your episodes, and yeah, for us, it's a great pleasure to become part of the Art Talks.
Yes, hello and welcome, and thank you.
Thank you to you. Thank you to you. For me, it's wonderful to see you here and to do something together for the first ever VR, special issue of the VR Art Talk magazine. And yes, I will start with Vito. So you have pretty much been in technology since the beginning of all the time of your career. Tell us, how did it go from digital archaeology, which I really would like to know what is about, to virtual reality? And does virtual reality today also mean metaverse?
Thank you for the tough question. So,
all fronts.
it is true that my career started actually in archaeology and digital archaeology. Actually, I started as a programmer when I was a little boy, but then as we moved through college and to university, I picked archaeology as let's say a hobby university while I was doing the programming for money when I was little. But that connection with archaeology actually made my passion into the culture, heritage, culture, and art, really bloom. Because what I saw when I came into these spaces of especially museums and archaeological sites, archaeological digs, I saw that they don't use technology. They were just, using pen and paper, writing things from the fields and then putting it in the museums in boxes, also writing with pen and paper. So I decided to really help them out and started building tools for archaeological excavations, different 3D things, because of course I was interested in 3D graphics at that time, computer games, things. So started implementing all of this passion and knowledge inside of archaeology and museology, as we call it. And so it then drove my career into the direction of actually bringing this into the all the knowledge from commercial world into this kind of culture world. And long story short, I mean, the story is quite long. I don't know how many hours you have, but to cut down to the latest developments in the technology sector, we got our hands on the first VR headset in 2000. I think it was 15 and 16. And we started building the first apps, experimenting with VR. And immediately we saw that this technology will change the world. The question was not, will it change the world? The question was more for us from the business side, is like, when is going to change the world? Because it was not super ready at the time that it happened. But here comes an interesting twist. Okay, so I've been through a lot of technological booms, like PCs, then different computers, systems, and then mobile phones, and then gaming consoles. And every time we were late, like every time we waited until the technology really got itself together to, start developing for it. And at that time, when we were developing for it, like we were already late because the market has moved. So this was the first time that I said, look, this is too early. Tech is not yet there, resolution is bad, tracking maybe is bad, you have these cables that are running from your headset to a computer. Now is the time to start developing. So we started developing the first VR applications in 2016 with a knowledge that it will take years until the actually useful headsets arrive to the market. So at that time in 2016, we developed the first VR museum, and that was the museum of Nikola Tesla. And we donated it to the Tesla Museum. Even today, Tesla Museum runs tours in VR with this kind of a new version of a VR museum where you meet Tesla as an avatar. At that time, that was super crazy. Today, maybe it's not too distant from imagination, but at that time, that was really we reached some level of let's say storytelling that you can only see today emerge. And on the topic of the metaverse, that's a huge message. So yes, AllArt is a metaverse, and we are developing now, especially kind of a metaverse type of a full platform. But for us, it was always virtual reality. It was always, you know, a world where you come in and you live in this world. But from my perspective, what differentiates the metaverse from, you know, regular virtual reality is what we like to call a map. So the thing is, what now we are doing is actually we are bringing all the galleries, museums, you know, businesses that are in the arts and culture sector onto the map. So hopefully the map will be released by the end of the year with, you know, all different buildings representing galleries. But why map? Because it's an event space. You know, these rumors that metaverses are empty. The thing, it's not, it's empty. The question is, where do you go on the map and at what time? Because if you have an event that you will visit at a specific time and you got an invitation, you know, you have your calendar there, you will go there and it will be full of people if they're coming at the same time to the same place. So I believe that, you know, like event-driven worlds will of course flourish, and there will be a reason why people are coming into these worlds, especially, and what we learned by developing VR AllArt and now AllArt is that you know, the moment that you meet someone in virtual reality that is halfway across the globe and you are there at the same time in a, you know, a gallery or a museum exhibition, you finally understand why this is so cool, why this is needed. So this is not a gimmick. This is not something that we are doing because, oh, let's explore the new tech. This actually solves the problem of time, travel, space, you know, transportation of art and culture cross-border.
It's, you know, when I first heard about AllArt was many years ago, just before COVID. Actually, I was really fascinated, shocked at the same time, as you were saying now. It's like, oh my gosh, where are we going here? But it was incredible already before COVID, but very difficult to understand, as you're saying. Now, more and more we are accepting even a Zoom, and we're in a Zoom. I didn't know even how to do a Zoom just before COVID. So it's incredible what, you know, what this COVID moment made us understand the possibilities that are there. But it is wonderful. And again, I didn't understand anything in the sense. I'm a bit of a dinosaur here. So when I got my Google and I saw it with Francois the other time to see our space, I met actually Alex and one part of your team in Belgrade. It was incredible. I was so happy. I was like, you know, like a teenager, a child running into the wall and splashing inside one of the our Maria Masler picture and Henry that we have there. And I was like, wow. And then, you know, we had this space. It was incredible. It was really, as you say, cool.
The first VR party that we had in the gallery
Yes.
was actually made for a Swiss collector. And we had like 15 people, Alex, right?
Yeah, 15 people.
I mean, they were so amazed. Like, they're like, you know, 60-year-old people coming to a birthday party.
It
With
was-
headsets.
Actually, that was the fun thing was
And they were jumping.
they were really 60-plus-year-old people, and all of them businessmen, collectors. You know, you would think they would behave, but they come into this room and they go like they high-fiving each other. They doing
you become a child.
tag and catch with you can. So it really changed something in them, and also releases a certain freedom which you only experience when you are in these virtual reality rooms, and this is a huge potential also when you think of how people can and will experience art, you know. It's
Yes.
not, as Vita said, it's not simply a replication of what we have in the real world, but it's really an endeavor into new spaces. And also we will see this in the first VR magazine turned into a gallery.
I would like to add one interesting thing that just, Alex, when you mentioned that they come to experience art, and when we were talking about technology and the way that we actually developed it since 2016, literally, we started developing the platform at that time, is that the first VR spaces that we had, they were more gamish like. So we were experimenting a lot with lighting, with shadows, with things like, like all the environment, textures, effects in the environment. And during this time, we came to a conclusion by experimentation. In the moment that we started creating realistic spaces, what we call photorealistic spaces, like really almost like clones of the real life galleries, or the texture needs to be perfect, the floor needs to be perfect, all the connections between the floor and the walls, and the lighting, the spotlights, the way that the spotlight is presented on the wall, that all needs to reflect reality. Because what happens is amazing. When people come into the space that is more like gamish, doesn't look real, they lose a lot of time and attention trying to fix these things in their brains. Like, this is not looking too good, but then, look at this, look at that. They're wasting their time. But ever since we started incorporating photorealistic spaces with extremely high details of textures and like environment, people just stop looking at the space. And what they do, they come to an exhibition, they look at the art. They search for art, they go from piece to piece, and this is where we want people to be. We don't want them to wander around thinking about, hey, I'm in virtual reality. No, just forget about VR and just, you are in a gallery and just go and look at the art, like stand. And we saw that actually, we saw people coming closer to the paintings, looking at the details, like this is what I believe is the real goal of everything that we are doing, and people that are coming into VR should be looking for.
You said something very, again, something very true. In art, in a museum, you can't touch anything. You always have to be careful, the alarm, this, the people. But there you actually plunge into this work of art, into this picture. You are experiencing it's beautiful, and you can, in a virtual way, you touch it, I have to say, but it looks like you are
touching virtually sculptures. We were,
yes.
Amazing. Alex, you remember the exhibitions when we were going around the sculpture together and touching it from different sides, like, hey, feel this, because it was a huge, but in a museum, you can never go inside of a sculpture and literally put your hands through it. But in VR, you see your hands and you can literally feel, the shape because you're moving around it. So, yeah.
It is beautiful. But Vito, I'll go to what we said, that we met a couple of years ago. And then again, I heard the first talk in Monaco. And yes, Alex. So we met again during Deloitte in the Vatican. And
yes, true.
A couple of years after COVID, that everything would be incredibly possible. And possible, now we have the magazine. So it is incredible what we went through these years. You are also the co-founder of AllArt, VR AllArt. And how did you both meet? That would be...
Well, that alone is a long story, but I want to start with something which made me extremely happy when we met back in the Vatican. You came towards me and said, "This is not possible. You're still here."
Yes.
You're still here. And that was this was really important to us, because we've been to a lot of storms, like many other companies, or wannabe companies, that were just eaten away by the first or the second winter. And for us, it was really cool, because we never we never focused too much on what's going on. We were just, as Vito says, we were builders. We are builder. We are believing in this virtual reality future of the, or mixed reality future of arts and culture. And this is the way we are putting. So it's also important maybe where we're coming from. Both Vita and I, we've been, I mean, I've never been an archaeologist. I'm my background is in journalism, business administration, and yeah, I ran my own digital agency in Zurich for, well, that was 10 years ago, maybe that was 5 years so. And I was in search of better developers, you know, developers. So a friend brought me to Belgrade and said, you must meet Vita, he's a cool guy. I said, well, just another cool guy. The world is full of cool guys. But then we met, and he was the first actually to show me cool use cases for AR by that time, the first augmented reality apps, and we immediately, I mean, something ignited between us, and I saw the opportunities we could have in Switzerland and so on. A couple of months later, we started doing the first augmented reality app for a very big bank, which is still a very big, successful Swiss bank. And we could do a fantastic project with them for their ultra high net clients. Then we did other client projects in Denmark, for example, the Danish Museum of National History. We did that was actually our first, let's say, museum project we did together with AR and VR, and yeah, step by step we saw how this developed, and I mean, my part of the equation was always, I mean, I'm coming from digital design and from communication, from storytelling, and Vita is coming from archaeology, tech development. And so we always played around this ball and then tried to see how we can play it, how we can make it better. And I also have to say we had to very often, I wouldn't say eat shit, but we have been to so many, you know, like shows or conferences, or I remember the first time Vita and I were with one little headset, we were walking through Art Basel. I guess it was back in 2017, and tried to talk to people about what do you think about art in VR, and they kind of say, "Come on, guys, go play somewhere else." And yeah, but I think also did this heavy winds, this people not believing it, just kind of were also healthy, because we had to work on the product, we had to work on use cases to understand what frightens people, what do people not like about, what are they afraid of, you know, because especially in the artwork, I think that new channels, new platforms, a more transparent way of dealing, of showing, of living with art, trading art, that frightens off a hell of a lot of people, you know, because they've been in their secretive little bazaar for the last 500 years. And so they don't, or not everybody likes then the younger upsetters to start doing things. So yeah, that's more or less the story, and yeah.
No, it is. I remember.
It's much longer, but we don't have time.
Of course.
No, it's a long story. But no, yes, I told you, you know, when I saw it, like, you are still here. Because yes, we went with Francois, we saw so many, you know, platforms during the last 2 years only, you know, as cowboys, you know, coming up, unfortunately, and then vanish as a puff of wind, we can say, in a more poetic way. Because, you know, what is important in the art world, it's, you know, to be persistent and to be there and to be, you know, and to bring this, I think, you know, to you know, it's all about trust. Yes, we can talk about the philosophical way, but it's important to offer something that, you know, that really people can, sometimes it's difficult to understand, but, you know, eventually, look, we are all here now, thanks to you, and also, you know, we feel the same way with Francois. We can start another talk about our talk adventures. I think it's always, what we reflect is really about life, up and down, but we're still here. That's what is important.
But really focus and persistence is tremendously important, because these big, huge changes, if it goes too hype-ish, like if you hype something too much, and then it usually drops a lot. So
Yes.
this is like consistency, persistency, focus, and you know why you are doing it, and there is no other solution for it.
Yes.
So continue building and make it better and better, and be there, as Alex said, and as you said. So
I think also what's very, very important to me also is that you need this raison d'être, or why do you do what you're doing. And we are firmly we believe that I mean, of course you can do fancier places, of course you can gamify the art world and everything, but this is not our aim. Our aim is to kind of democratize the art world, to make I love this example. Imagine a school class from Nepal goes and visits the Louvre. I mean, for us in Europe, it's super easy. There's 80% of the world cultural heritage is in the reach of 500 kilometers. No, we can go there, we can see everything, but the world is fucking empty of art and culture. So most of the people cannot go to this art. So it's in a way, it's cynical if people in Europe say, well, but I want to see this art in the real environment. Yes, they can. And we don't want to take this away from anyone. But to bring art and to bring culture to people that could not immersively experience art, this actually, at least, this is what really is one of the strongest motors why I'm so fond of this company and why I'm doing this. Yeah, amongst a lot of other things, but yeah.
Yes, no, it's I think it's what we are connected by passion, and that's for sure. So now I'll give you some more other questions through Francois.
Hey guys. Actually, I have some questions. One of them around VR and what it would take for the industry to really take off. But you kind of answered that, Vito, very eloquently, actually. So let me take it from a different angle. Some people will argue that the metaverse, not VR, the metaverse, kind of isolates people, right? All of a sudden, it's like the Facebook effect. You've got thousands of friends around the world, but nobody next to you. So how do you see hybrid events entering the metaverse and virtual reality?
Yeah, I was muted. So when you say hybrid events, you mean like a mix of real life events and virtual reality events?
Correct.
Yeah. So we also experimented a lot with these situations. We even had in Dubai Expo, for example, half of Serbian pavilion was VR, and the first idea was that we have the whole pavilion completely in VR or mixed reality, so that you can meet real life people, can meet virtual people that are coming online to the pavilion, and all the content will be actually virtual, so that you can walk around the pavilion and like not only meet people, but also learn about, of course, the culture and everything on the expo. What happened, of course, is COVID. We had to cut the pavilion in two and then make a normal exhibition because of the COVID restrictions, and half of it was in VR. But I believe that when we are talking about hybrid events, it's more like having we can do mixed things, like have a real people coming into the real life event from virtual reality. But I believe that events that are happening at as I said, the specific time and place in VR will be maybe even more popular in the future, because simply it's more accessible, more people can come. The problem with the real life event is that it is always bound to a geographic location. So whether it's a city, whether it's, you know, like a gallery, you need to physically come there, which is fine. I mean, I love to go to events, but when you look at the reach that you can have, if you have a, you know, a virtual exhibition opening that people can actually come into, compared to real life, you need to get yourself ready, you need to, you know, prepare, you need to spend a lot of time and money to get to a specific event. And if it's in New York and you live in, you know, Europe, sometimes it's not even possible. So I'm not saying that I mean, I don't know how the civilization will change based on, in the society will change based on us, you know, just putting the, you know, next level VR sunglasses and entering, you know, a virtual reality metaverse experience. But I can tell you that it solves the problem. It solves the problem that I cannot be in New York. I cannot be, you know, in London for an opening of a show, and I really would like to come. I would really like to be there. But, you know, like, and what Alex also mentioned, I think this is even more important that us talking from, you know, like first world countries and saying like, oh, we have our headsets and we can go and visit. But we had an email years ago from a guy from Australia. So what he said, first of all, thank you for building this. We live in a small town 3 hours away from the smallest city. And our children cannot go to museums and our children cannot go to galleries. So thank you for creating this, because otherwise they will not have these experiences. And I believe that this is the core of you know, why Metaverse, because it opens up the doors and gates of space and time that were closed for so many, like we are talking about not millions of people, we're talking about billions of people that can now go. And our mission is to fight for a place in this metaverse, you know, experiences, not with entertainment, but with culture, not with hype, but with, you know, art and history. And I was always talking about this, is like, we are currently in a war, and the war is for human attention. And if we don't create content in the art and culture segment that are high quality, highest quality, better quality than games, you know, young generations, they will just go around it and play a next game. They will never engage because attention is somewhere else. So our job and our passion and our fight in this war for human attention is to create high quality content that can compete with, you know, other types of entertainment content. So Metaverse, yes, we need to be there with everybody that are involved in the arts and culture sector.
I have an aspect which I also find it's very, very important. It's not only the audiences of art, but it's also a democratization, or with the Metaverse, we can give young artists, emerging artists, we give them a platform to rise and to build their own community, you know, because as of now, I mean, for good reasons, there has always been curators and institutions and but it was, or it is for young artists pretty difficult if you're not in the right city, with the right teacher, at the right university, with the right I don't know, collectors around you, to find a voice and to get heard. And I think, or we think that with this platform, with this metaverse where people can gather aficionados or fans around them and find a voice, will definitely also be a means of changing the whole art world, you know.
No,
And
I agree.
there will be new definitions of who is going to make it in the art world, who is getting attention, who deserves attention, who has maybe voices that and positions that we never heard and never seen, have a chance to rise. And this is a beautiful thing. And I think it's also a very important thing. in a way also to democratize the arts and culture.
No, absolutely. And you're both correct. I think
You're muted.
Vito is trying to talk.
I need to jump in here, and just because the audience that is listening needs to understand also our point of view, talking to art professionals. So art market is known for secrecy. Art market is known for privacy. And I want to emphasize our commitment to secrecy and privacy. We understand the market and why it is developed in this way, why this is important. So when we talk about democratization, we are talking about access democratization. Like there is a possibility to have a better access, but we are not talking about, hey, we believe that everybody should share whatever they have. There are some serious reasons why the art market is functioning in the way it is. So we are there to explore how technology can be in touch or in a direct connection with the need of the market, because we need to respect the art market as it is today. We might change it because of technology, but we should not forget that the players in the market are there for hundreds of years. And first of all, we believe that the culture should be respected. Different cultures should be respected, and these types of social connections that were made the art market what it is today, and the value of art in the way that it was made, it should be respected. And our platform is built so that we can start framing it around the art market in the way that the art market needs it. Because if it's not going to use our people will not use the platform because it's, no, I don't want to use it because of it's too democratized, then we failed. So we need to be very, careful in listening to what the market, responds and reacts and adopt, and then from within see where we can move the market in the next direction.
No, agreed. So a lot to address. So let's start with what you with what you just said, Vito, right? So there are two very clear differentiations in the art world, right? So you have the private art market, secondary art market, right? That is very secret for obvious reasons. If somebody's buying a $50 million painting, you don't want the world to know because you're going to attract the wrong attention, right? And that's actually also happening already online. We were talking to a friend of ours 2 days ago, Big Comic. He was one of the first NFT artists. He started getting a little famous. His digital wallet was robbed instantly, practically, right? So same reasons. But you have the other side, which you addressed, and then Alex addressed as well, which is the public education. And even the biggest dealers who have galleries have a public facing in a gallery, right? If you can walk into a gallery physically, you should be able to walk into the same gallery digitally. The reason being that what you said earlier, if you can't travel to New York or to LA or to Paris if you're in the United States or Latin America, Asia, Africa, yes, you can now see any show in the world, right? As long as the gallerist builds an environment where people can see the show. It's not difficult. And I know that you guys actually do that. You will customize a gallery to replicate the exact gallery of a gallerist, which is fantastic, right?
Call it cloning or
exactly.
digital twin.
And
now
you know what?
gallery,
It stays open forever.
absolutely. And
an exhibition that a beautiful exhibition after 3 months, half a year, normally it's gone, and you have some memories, some nice photos. But if you have a clone of it, it's here for eternity. For everybody who wants to revisit it, for students to see how, like a couple of years ago, an exhibition of that artist collective has been, and go and visit it together with friends and discuss it. This is an access towards art which a lot of people are not aware of.
But also, you're multiplying the visitors on your audience by a 100,000 factor. It's incredible, right? So then because we discussed a lot of things. To the point you were making, Vito, I agree. The metaverse is a future, without a doubt. I like the fact that with our magazine, for example, right, and what we're building together, guys, which is for all intents and purposes the first magazine ever in virtual reality. People can experience it in a headset, but they can also look at it in a browser in a 3D environment, which is great, right? Because not every, I believe that today that is the biggest challenge for mass adoption is the cost of the headsets, right? And the bulkiness. But the bulkiness is getting addressed. We also the images of what Apple is going to be releasing by the end of the year, right? But the cost is estimated to be $3,000. That's not going to be available for everybody. So I think that's one of the things.
It will drop. The
It will.
price will drop, and
Yeah.
the competition will be there to fight them. So we just need to build more better, so that once that level is reached, when everybody has a headset,
Look where we are today. Look where we're today. The first headset, you need a graphic computer for that, and a huge headset, whatever, at a cost point of, I don't know, roughly 2.5, 3K, right? And
Right.
now you have the Oculus or the Meta Quest Carolina just showed. This is $350,
Yeah. No, and you're
3
right.
times cheaper than an iPhone.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, so
Yes, but also the accessibility. Sorry, Francois. For me, that I do everything with the phone, we can actually see anything through the phone, and we don't even need a computer anymore, or
Right.
not.
And that actually brings me to the next point I was going to make about content, right? So Carolina and I we cannot even tell you the number of hours interviewing people, transcribing into the paper. And then what we had to come to the conclusion that since more than 70% of people consume content through their mobile devices, they weren't reading the articles. I mean, you pinch it open, you start reading, you get a phone call, you get a message, it goes away. You're like, all right, forget this. I'm done reading it, right? And so combine that with the understanding that magazines aren't what they are anymore, right? I mean, I open magazines, it's more than 50% advertising, right? Most of it is getting given away. We were in London for Freeze. Everything, JQ, Architectural Digest was giving it away in the streets, right? So for all intents and purposes, they have kind of become just coupon books for advertisers, right? And even then, it's not the most efficient. We're going to have a couple of ads in the virtual reality magazine. You'll be able to reach the website straight from the ad, the video or the image. No need to write down, tap on my phone, www, blah, 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 right? And so it was all about the content. And that's why we started talking with you guys. It was just, what if instead of having to read an article, you could be on the subway, you could be, well, subway probably not because you don't have a reception, but whatever, anywhere else in the world except the subway, right? I can be on my phone. And because we've replaced written articles with live interviews like this one, I can be on the train, I can be on a plane, I can be anywhere. And here we go. And so that also goes towards bringing exposure to artists, right? Because now you're just not looking at pretty pictures. You're actually listening to the person, and we all know that most of the connections come from how you connect between people. And so that way this boils down to. This is what I think the opportunity is with the magazine as it is going to be, but also in everything that you guys are doing. It's connecting in a meaningful manner, in a realistic environment that has no uncanny valley. And it's just, you're there. I mean, we were there on Friday afternoon. And we were fighting for the headset. I'm like, I want it back. No, you can't have it. No, I want it back because it's freaking awesome. So, I agree with you guys. It's the future, and it will be real connection between human beings, because you won't be looking around like, I'm sorry, I'm going to say that out loud, with Meta, where it felt like you were in a game, right? I mean, how'd you have a business meeting with somebody that looks like Mickey Mouse? It doesn't work, right? And you can't get into it. But with this, we were there. We were in Belgrade. We were in Zurich. We were in Zug. We were everywhere. It was incredible. Really, really cool. So congratulations, guys. This is going to be amazing. And we are so excited. It's not even funny.
Thank you.
Thank you.
add on top of what you said is that, first of all, it is a great pleasure and, of course, honor to work with you guys on trying to transform an industry. Because this is the first experiment of this kind that I learned. I mean, we are in it, but it's the first time that I actually heard, you know, like, hey, let's make a VR magazine. And when you pause for a second and think about it, it's like, okay, what is a magazine? A magazine is a you know, a kind of a collection of content that is built around stories told around, in our case, you know, artists and art and people that are involved in the sector. So wait a minute, these are all the stories in you know, in one kind of package given to you in a paper format. But why don't we put all the stories in the package and put it into a space where you can actually have an experience, learn these same stories, hear the same, you know, like see it, but also experience it. Like these artists will then have the art pieces on the walls presented in the exhibition that talks about their work. So you can see the work and you can hear the talk and you can learn more, and then you can follow up later on. So I believe that this is really transformative moment, I hope. And we will not solve all the problems in the first edition, or, you know, like in the first print, in the first exhibition. It will be, you know, experiment after experiment, and we need to learn from the people that are coming in. Like, hey, you know, they might come up with the ideas, we might come up with new ideas, and then explore how this new technology can help us transform the industry, because this is transformation of you know, magazine type of industry.
Absolutely. I mean,
let me ask you something. I mean, when I just hear you saying this, Vito, isn't it the idea of doing the magazine in VR, like bringing the storytelling back to its communal aspect where it comes from? You know, I mean, people they started storytelling tales and whatever and stories to each other, from like face to face, and then with the invention of the writing and then printing and so on, the stories came into a magazine, into books. And what we're doing here is like actually bringing that communal aspect of storytelling back, you know, in a totally new sphere, in a new technology, or thanks to new technology. And this is also maybe also that you see, we are not doing this because we can. We are not using this tech because it's cool new gadget, but it helps us doing something for the good, you know. And
you cannot do with the magazine.
You're good. Yeah.
We cannot do with the magazine. You cannot have a virtual reality, I mean, a printed magazine where artist comes and meets you.
Now you can. Now you can.
Now you can. I mean, literally, you can meet the artist on the opening of, you know, like, hey, the new edition.
Curator. Yes.
The artist will be there on the opening, and then you can see them, and they will come back shortly or tomorrow or something and visit again from a virtual magazine.
absolutely. But also think about, you know, the new art, videos, NFTs, which are static in a magazine. Now we have a an ad kind of for a fashion company. Guess what? You're going to see the model move. You're going to see you can see a runway. You can see all these things. It's dynamic. You're in it. You're part of it. And we saw it on the screen because we've been showing it to a couple of people saying, hey, you should do this with us. But yet when you do it with a headset, it's a whole different dimension. I mean, it's like Alice in Wonderland. It's awesome. Really, really cool. So I think you're both right. It's storytelling, but at the core, we're actually going to be showing a mini trailer for a movie that's going to come out in the US. Not a picture of the actor. No, it's a trailer in the magazine. How cool is that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, what I wanted to add actually, that after this, we're going to all have a party into the gallery magazine and everybody actually should be amazing, you know, with all the artists. That would be fantastic, because this is what, you know, you told us, you know, it's to bring people together. In any case, it could be, again, a parallel world to our reality, but it's an educational reality. I think it's a beautiful. As I said, I was always a bit skeptical, but when I got this, I was, flying through the walls, through the paintings. I was really, as I said with Francois, I wouldn't want him to give him back. Okay.
And I also need to add one more thing for the viewers here. Is like, they need to understand where we are right now. So VR All.Art was our first iteration, right? So it was created in what we call, I mean, usually in this space, Web 2. Like this was, like a centralized kind of a platform, a company, like in a centralized world. All.Art is a Web 3 company, which means that our platform is decentralized. Like our platform is built for this Web 3 NFT, evolution. By the way, we don't like to call them NFTs. We like to call them digital assets, because we see also a transformation of how art and culture are registered in these decentralized databases. And this is what we are also building. So this year, we are moving our platform from Web 2 into the Web 3. And this is not an easy move, because everything that is shown on the platform in the exhibitions will be kind of stored in a decentralized database. And why is this super important, I think, for the art world, is because the ownership that is registered on chain or in this, basically in the blockchain, allows us to change the ownership of an item more easily than in a regular way. And this fact really makes a lot of difference for the art world, because if you can utilize the technology to have a faster moving market, better market, and to have the registration of these items exist in this kind of a new world of decentralized objects, then I believe that everything can change. And for us, it was tremendously important to take a leap and get into this Web3 space, because we saw that this is what the actual world needs. It's not only VR, Metaverse, society change, meeting in these virtual worlds, cross-border, transformation of moving of art and everything but it's also ownership. Like, how can I own something? And if I own something that is also has its digital version or replica, and I can use it in my metaverse space, then it's not only important what I own in real life and what painting will I put in that square there, but it's actually what painting will I put in my square in my virtual apartment, where I will host an international party with my friends all around the world. So I believe that the transformation is really deep, and we are there to foster this new way. How do we treat art? How do we register art? How do we display art? How do we engage people with art? So it's not only about the headset, it's not only about a database, or it's not only about crypto or AR, VR, whatever. It's all of this together.
Agreed. Absolutely. In fact, if you think about fashion, right? I mean, you were talking about how much money it costs to go to an event, etc. I believe there will be a time where people will have a metaverse wardrobe because they'll want to show up at a party, etc., wearing something that's really cool, except hopefully it'll cost a fraction of the price, and we won't see the ridiculousness of NFTs. I will call it NFT in this case, even though I agree with you on the term digital asset for everything else. But so this brings me actually to another question very quickly. And I'm sure you guys have the same thing, right? You get introduced to one or two new startups in the art space every single week. 90% of them are in commerce, right? Because everybody sees billions of dollars of profits, et cetera, and everybody wants a piece of that pie. It's done very stupidly because it's all in silos. Everybody builds the same company over and over again in different places. Sometimes the same city, they have a certain audience. It doesn't go beyond that. So I actually believe in aggregation. So I think this is where a platform as such as yours could make a huge difference. Why would I only buy from one person and then only trade with that one person, that one platform? If I can have one platform where I can trade across multiple avenues, right? Aggregation is the way to go. But it's all about the commerce, right? So how do you guys see because Eric talks about online e-commerce for art, which hasn't really picked up except on small things and stuff like that, right? So how do you guys see like a real economy of art in the metaverse versus the way it's been done so far?
Alex, you want to take this for a
Well, to be honest, probably nobody knows where this is going to lead, but for us, it's at least for me, we are not in the first place focused on doing a commercial platform where people can trade X or Y, but we started out with being or making a platform for people to be or to experience art and cultural events, you know. So this is actually in the very core of it. And then of course there's going to be event organizers around it. Gallerists are gonna trade their arts and goods and so on. And we need to enable this as a platform. But I think it's not in the first place about the commerce, but it's been about building a world, building a platform where people want to be, want to spend their time, and this makes you not as let's say cash driven as other, at least other startups that they need to sell their or pump up their company very quickly and earn money with it. You know, of course we're not in here just for fun, but we have a long vision, and because we want to do something sustainable and something that is here for a real good. You know? So I don't know if I'm making myself very clear, but
You are, but I think you can but I think that's the point I'm trying to make. I think you can do it right with the philosophy that you're bringing into it, right? Because now it is about actually, you talk about emerging artists and things like that on Instagram, etc. They have a certain reach, but now if the platform can also help with, if you have an artist who's on the other side of the world, in Africa, for example, and through the platform he's able to sell a couple of paintings that will feed a community, that's a good thing. So anyways, we're going to have time in Basel. We have a week together. So we're going to have conversations. I have ideas to make money and be good about it. That's key. And that's also a reason why we're working with you guys. It's from the beginning. It's always been about passion, culture, spreading of culture, sharing of culture, and really doing what we've been trying to do on our side with the magazine, which is using art as a bridge across multiple continents, multiple communities, and bringing people together around art. So we're united, but I think that's my cue to leave Carolina to the last question.
No, I just want to add one more thing on top of what Alex said. Okay, so the fact that I don't know if you guys know, but in almost every university in the world, in departments that are doing psychology, they have a part of the department that is doing the research on how art affects culture. So there is a huge community of psychologists studying art and how it affects people. So what I learned from them, and we did some research together with them for them using VR platforms, is that every layer that you add on top of an art piece, a layer of information, creates a great value of the art piece in the eyes of the beholder, in the eyes of the viewer. So as you add more data about the painting, about the artist, about the environment, about the context, about society, whatever, every time you add more on top of the piece, you create more value.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that the work that we are doing and the platform that we are building will, help bring more value to art. because you will be able to tell more stories. You will be able to engage more people. You will be able to spread out the word, across the globe in the way that you've never been able to do so before. So we are actually, hopefully, participating in creating this value-added process by utilizing technology. Because as you mentioned, Francois, when you have an artist from Africa, if it's a nobody, you don't think that he's worth anything because you know who he is or who she is. And then you start learning about him. He did this, and then he was here, and then the piece presents this, and his life changed because of this, and that was in the painting. And as you learn, add more details, you start to value his work more, and then you emotionally connect to the work, to the artist, and to the story behind him. And I believe that virtual environments and the metaverse will not only create communities, which you all mentioned, but it will also create stories around the things that we experience. And this is this value added that will just create more value and the flow of value. Because if the money is value and the art is value, and then it flows back and forth, there is always something to be made in the process. But
excellent. Actually, that just gave me an idea that I'm going to share with you when we're in Basel, in terms of sharing stories, etc. I think it's going to be a really cool idea. I think you're going to like it. But on to Carolina, I've said enough.
Mute. No, unmute
We can't hear you. We can't hear
You're
you.
muted. You're muted, Carolina.
I'm muting. So I'm muting. I'm becoming a different person into the metaverse. I'm joking. Okay, so my very last question, because thank you again. It's already very late in the evening for all of us, but I just want to ask you, aside from creating the actual first world's magazine in virtual reality, what are your next projects, if you can share with us?
Alex.
Something definitely to be looking for is, Francois mentioned our avatars in the AllArt metaverse. These are not this comic-y kind of Mickey Mouse people. These are not the square heads like in Roblox or wherever. So we are somewhere in between. So in a way that you never end up with our avatars in this uncanny valley. Our avatars are already now, you will see them, you must see them. They're very artistic. They're pretty close still to people. So now imagine in a couple of months, maybe, you will have our new avatar, our new suite of avatars. It's gonna be called the Next Avatars. And Next Avatars is a family of where you can literally be whoever you want to be, but in a way that is on eye level while you are in a gallery or in an exhibition, and viewing art, and I mean, I'm a little bit pumped with it. It's going to be really a beautiful thing. So many people also, I think the bare possibilities that you will have as an avatar to change who you are in cultural space. This alone, I mean, probably in a couple of months, we will have to do a talk about simply this,